Hello Tenno, today's topic is a continuation of Khora's abilities. We have discussed about her first ability Whip Claw and how to check for final status chance in the last Warframe video, and in this video we are going to talk about the rest of her abilities, or at least we were supposed to. But I found some really good videos about her on YouTube that I feel like it would be a waste of my time trying to top that. So if you'd like to learn more about Venari or Kavats in general, check out Xandypants video down in the description. And I understand a lot of us don't like reading off wiki or reading in general. So if you'd like to know more about Khora and each of her abilities, I would recommend Noob Showtek's video. Oh, wait a minute. Anyways, both their videos will be linked down in the description for you guys to check out. The only thing that I noticed that was maybe outdated in the Khora ability video is that Whip Claw does benefit from range mods on both casting range and damage AoE, but that AoE is limited up to 200% range, as stated in Wiki. This may have been one of those changes that was made after that video was uploaded. So instead of making another similar video telling you all about Khora, I would like to talk about some synergies in this video that I loved using with her. There is three main ways I like to play her. One is a high power strength and high efficiency build. This is where I spam my first ability to wipe out almost anything in sortie and below missions. The other is a crowd control build where you have high duration, high range, and some efficiency. This is where you would use your second ability, Snare, to disable and pull enemies together. Then you either kill them with your weapon or have your teammates finish the job. Let me elaborate on the first two builds before I talk about the last one. Having high power strength makes your Whip Claw deal more damage, but it also gives Venari the ability to heal you more, giving you and your teammates great survivability. This also means that you do not need to have too many survival mods on your Khora. Here at the background is a gameplay of me doing sorties, and so happened that today sorties is versus Corpus. If it were Grineers, it would be harder due to the damage reduction by armor unless we have something like corrosive projection. I also did not run my melee weapon with any faction mods. I would have done a lot more damage if I did, but I was going for a general build with gas. Power range is great because it allows your second ability and your fourth ability to pull enemies further away together. Your second ability, Snare, also gives you that 2 times damage with Whip Claw. To cast Snare for that damage to get that extra 2 times multiplier is a waste, since spamming Whip Claw twice does the same amount of damage and it costs less energy. If we do not prioritize on the second and fourth ability, there's less reasons for us to use range mods and almost no reasons for us to use duration mods, allowing us to focus on things like efficiency, survivability, and power strength, which helps in the damage of our Whip Claw and Venari's abilities. Since Whip Claw attack does require line of sight of the enemy, having too much range wouldn't help much unless you are in an open field. The second build is a popular one, which works pretty much like Nidus's Lava. In some aspects it's better, although the range is not as far, but it can pull and disable enemies that is not within the line of sight. So they could be behind a wall or something and they'll still get CC. It can be made to pull again during the duration using Whip Claw on affected enemies. The drawback is that it does cost twice as much and the enemy does not get pulled together, stacking with each other like Lava does. There are many ways to combo abilities as useful as gathering enemies together and rendering them useless, but the one that I would like to highlight here is to use something like a turret or a pox, simply because of its ability to strip armor really fast, so you can use it against Grineers and it deals a lot of damage. Sadly, depending on how many enemies you manage to pull, they might not all be affected due to the small AoE by those weapons. Using the second build to utilize Strangle Dome is also not a very bad idea. However, using the dome to block bullets doesn't seem to be as effective as you might think. In practice, I find that at lower levels, enemy dies too fast to be blocking any bullets, And at higher levels, since the range enemies start shooting at a further distance and there are a lot of holes around the dome, at that level a single hit can really hurt you and it's just not very reliable. But if you really want to, you can use the Parasit's outfire to pull targets towards the dome and potentially keep it full of enemies to block bullets. But from playing Khora a lot lately, it's not the kind of gameplay I would recommend. There is another build, however, which is more like a hybrid that I do enjoy playing, and it's similar to the concept of using the Sobek and Acid Shell. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, do consider watching that video where I talk about Acid Shell and its glory, which I won't be covering it here. So basically, we are using something with a similar mechanic as Acid Shell that does 45% of the enemy's health that you kill as an explosion damage, but instead we are using Vulcan Blitz on the Jakatang that does 60% health damage. Before with the Acid Shell, we need a buffer to turn that 45% to 100% or more. But at the same time, this method works best with enemies pulled in together. So in most cases, you will need 2 Warframe to make this combo really good. But with Khora, she actually has both abilities. Her 4th ability does have the 2 times multiplier and also pulls enemies together, or you can pull enemy together with her 2nd ability. So in case, again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, do check out my older video on the Acid Shell where we basically discuss all kinds of weird strategies with the Acid Shell and that kind of damage potential. So a quick demonstration. Let's say we summon 8 level 145 Ancient Healer. By the way, they changed the interface of how you summon enemies again, and it's just bad. So let's just see how much explosion damage you get from killing an Ancient Healer right now. Oh boy. There you go. I'm not too sure if you saw that. Let's kill one more. Okay. So the first explosion seemed to did not work. I think it might be because either the Venari killed him or something else. Now we're gonna do that again, but this time we're gonna use our strangle dome. So over here, we're gonna just do some simple calculations to make sure that the values check out, because sometimes there are cases where the value does not check out and turns out there is a bug involved and things like that. So what I have here is a spreadsheet that I made for you guys a while ago to calculate EHP. So what you need to do is, let's say we're testing for Ancient Healer. You just type in the stats of the Ancient Healer at level 145. It should have a health pool of 124k health. So if you take 60% out of this value, the Vulcan Blitz should do about 74k damage to its surrounding enemy. Now this is excluding the base damage that Vulcan Blitz also does, but the important one is the health percentage damage, because we want to make sure that that does 100% or more than 100% health damage to the surrounding enemy, so that whatever enemy that is within the same level range, or if they are the same type, they will definitely die. The next part is I do have a infested faction mod on my Jakatang, so that means you're gonna increase that damage by 30%. So by increasing this value by 30%, you'll get about 97k damage. Now next thing that we have to remember is that the Vulcan Blitz explosion damage is blast damage, and on fossilized health, which is the health type that the Ancient Healer has, it will get 50% extra damage from blast type damage. So you increase this value by an extra 50% and you're gonna get 146,000 damage. Already it's more than its original health, but this is only because Ancient Healers, they are weak against blast. If you were to use, let's say, Charger, which has a different health type, then it will not go past its original health. So you still need more than one Charger to die in order to make the explosion kill everything on sight. But if you have strangle dome, then things change because it has a 2x multiplier. What this means is that the damage that you do, it has an extra 100% damage include. So this value times 2, you get this one, and this is the value that you should get on the surrounding enemies. But we did not exactly get this value. In fact, it's slightly lesser. The reason why is because Strangle Dome also spreads them out. The further away you are from where the blast actually happened, the explosion actually happened, you get lesser and lesser damage. So that is one of the drawbacks of using Strangle Dome or using a big Strangle Dome. So with that said, I believe the values do check out. So speaking of checking the values and damage, there is a bug that I also found, and this is not a good kind of bug where it overpowers anything. It's actually more like a nerf kind of bug that make things really bad. So let me just show you what it's about. I've summoned a ancient healer, so I'm gonna knock him down. Please don't fall. There you go. I did a ground finisher. So whenever the enemy is on the ground and you hit him while he's on the ground, you do a ground finisher. And that did about 1.7k damage if I'm not mistaken, because I don't have any mods on my Jagatang besides a pressure point. So now I'm gonna add the finishing touch. Ooh, where is it? Finishing touch. There you go. Okay, it's supposed to increase my finishing damage. This includes ground finishers. If you don't believe me, you can go ahead and check the wiki. By 60%. So we're gonna do the exact same thing. Just to be safe, I'm gonna knock him down from this direction. No. So what you just witnessed is basically me doing a ground finisher with and without finishing touch, and they both got the same value. They both got 1732 damage, and that is not supposed to happen, because if you check on wiki, ground finisher should work with finishing touch. And I remember a long time ago I did use this mod to do some really insane ground finisher combos. So it's really weird that they nerfed it or something, but either way it's not working, it seems. So DE, if you're watching, do let us know what's going on. Now playing with Vulcan Blitz, the way that I suggested, you just want to kill one enemy as fast as you can, because if you could kill that one enemy, he's gonna pop and then he's gonna make the others pop. So initially I wanted to use ground finishers as the trigger, but then because of that weird, I don't know, I think it's a bug. If it's not, do tell me what it is down in the comments. So the reason why I want to use ground finisher is that enemies on the ground, they are subjected to ground finishers, and that is actually very useful, because if it hits, they're all gonna die, right? But without finishing touch, I find that the ground finishers is not consistent enough. The damage is not good enough for this kind of build. So instead, I decided to go on a different kind of trigger, which is a Miaming Strike based trigger. So basically what's going to happen is that you're going to put on Miaming Strike in your build, and then you are going to do a slide attack. So this is a lot more consistent because you're going to get that critical. So the way you build it is that you have Miaming Strike and high critical damage on your weapon, and that's pretty much it. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all about Khora, just let me know down in the comments and I'll try to get to it as soon as I can. Do remember to like, subscribe, and also share with your friends, because that will help me a lot. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.